Hello there folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel, a place where I discuss different topics about spirituality, introspection, deeper introspection, dream analysis, sociology, different other aspects, game design included, and well, depending on my moods, that includes questions that I may find on Quora and that I gladly answer with the purpose of providing people with another possible interpretation. And I always remind people to take whatever I say for granted, because everything that comes from within me comes, well, based on my own experiences as well as my own sources, well, the sources that I have encountered, people, books, documentaries and the such. Today's video I'm gonna discuss a bit on what I call the I don't know exactly, the dagger stabbing against your mind. Now the point about this is, I don't know if I could or should actually make a series, why or what makes people commit to so much self-destruction. And well, I've been presenting things like this throughout my videos, again indirectly, but the point is, can you actually feel the damage, right? The brain damage, the mind damage that you're causing? If not, well, there's a whole lot of trouble coming. Now what do I mean exactly? Every time we, like each and every day we get, more and more hatreds, more and more ideas, thoughts, manifestations that we just take from others, and it seems there's always so much more. And we also have the other side, the part of the body that desperately tries to shake us off of it. But the problem is, when you are forced directly and indirectly to submit into self-destruction, the point is, your first target will always be your connection with the emotions. Now many people will say your emotions are connected to the heart, and well, that's not entirely the case. You don't necessarily need to be connected to your heart to simply feel emotions. Now this may sound a bit funny, but through my introspection I have acquired answers, and hints about life and the depths of it from different sources. And this thing actually came, funnily speaking, from one of the characters I have created, namely the protagonist of the game. As I was working on one of the events that most likely will never feature into the end game, the point about that, the death of one of the enemies of the protagonist, it's one event in which I really cried a lot, like, well, two big times. And I have that event on my own account. I'm not guaranteeing people that it will make them cry. However, the point is, for some reason I felt that I had to create that, and I just felt guided somewhat. So my character told me that, through actually an inspiration for a quote of my character. The character tells her dying nemesis, she tells her the point that in order to feel emotions, you already need to have a lot of them sedimented in. The only reason why you feel emotions is because you have a lot of them already inside of you. The point is, we should be like a river, okay? People should be just like a river, because technically the energy body is a river that has two flows. One flows that comes from the root to the crown, and the other one that descends from the crown to the root through the numerous nadis of the system, junction points, let's call them so, because I'm not too experienced in Eastern philosophies that much. We haven't yet started. They actually require a big brain to study that. It's not that I wouldn't have, or many people wouldn't have the big brain, but I need to deal with some smaller things first, because before I can fully focus and shift to something greater. Now the point about this self-stabbing is, every time you want to do something, it feels like there are thousands of echoes in your mind that tell you not to. Okay, isn't this a bit funny? Like, uh, and worse than that, you don't even need those voices in the back of your mind, because you know how this world goes. There's always hundreds of other voices that are always ready to pull you down. And well, in some, if not most, unfortunate cases, that's even your parents. Well, we should never doubt schools that, you know, they'd be dumbing you down to the level of, well, even lower than primates, because, you know, when people go to school, children are very lively and full of imagination, and they kind of end up as zombies, because, you know, school kind of seeks to strip you of whatever is unique within you, because school was created a long time ago with the purpose to teach people to work, you know, corporatist works in mass. Well, initially those corporations were nothing else than industrial complexes that started appearing in England as of the, you know, explosion of the industrial age, and there was a need for a huge amount of people that would definitely have to operate the machines that would spring to life. Now, the difference in between, you know, Eastern societies and Western societies is that Eastern societies have been cultivating a sense of balance and peace. However, their problem was that, you know, if you cultivate and keep a certain vibration, even if you are wise and you're exploring the greatest aspects of the universe and life itself, the point is, if you're not upgrading, others will. On the other side, right, the Western society is highly represented by, you know, traumatic experiences. Now, these traumatic experiences are still encrypted into our DNA. I'm still wondering why nowadays, with all the freedoms that we have, people still act as if they don't have any, right? This is another one of those daggers that stabs against your mind, right? Your mind body. And well, probably one of the reasons why you're having headaches, funnily speaking. But well, the point is, people are starting to have so many opportunities and so many freedoms in a way, even if so, you know, legally speaking, some of them are taken away. But think about this: in the older times, right, like at least up till, I don't know, 100 years ago, the only way you could communicate with others was to yell from your window to the other one's window. Or, well, you could communicate through, you know, like postal service, that is, if the chariot actually made it till the, you know, destination, or, you know, like back to you, right? Or if the person didn't move in the meantime, because, you know, the mail would take a long time to reach there. Who knows, maybe the person would have to be evacuated, moved, died in the meantime. So nowadays people can have so much freedom, but unfortunately they still don't have any, because we are still stuck in 1000 plus years of, you know, well, I think it's less than 1000, but, you know, a very long period of you know, Christianity being very repressive, right? Keeping everything down, keeping everything quiet, fear everywhere. And even nowadays, if I look around in my hometown, it feels, well, apart from the fact that it still looks medieval to a certain extent, the point is, people still seem to think like that. And worse than that, you know, as an Orthodox, the problem is, so many people have been inventing all these beliefs about what, for example, you should do, you know, when someone dies. Like, my grandmother passed away, and if you go to 10 sources, everyone will tell you that you need to do a certain thing. And then if you go to the church tells you, hey, you know what, in order to do this, you need to pay a tax. And it's like, dude, what? I need to pay a tax for, you know, you saying something sacred so that I can simply share the food? Is like, no thanks. I'm a Reiki practitioner, okay? Like, I can use holy words as well, okay? You're not holier than me. You see, the problem with priests that I see, and not everyone, because I'm never gonna generalize, but you see, the problem with priests is, in many situations, and especially in Romania where I live, is corruption. people have been so repressed in Europe, and well, I'm speaking of Romania because this is the country that I live in and the only one that I've seen. And people in here simply have created throughout the time this idea that every time someone helps you, you must give them money. But the problem is, they kind of end up giving the money before, so all these lots of thousands of fuckers simply won't simply move a finger towards you if you don't pay them first. Like, you go to a hospital and you need to pay them $10 to actually, like, well, not in all situations, of course, but in some situations they might not even look at you if you don't, give them some tip. Now, things have changed a bit in the hospitals, yes, but when it comes to religion itself, in most churches you may not get to do much without paying, kingpin taxes, okay? Like, you have to pay the priest, you have to pay the church, you have to pay the other douchebag whom I don't know what their name is, okay? Like, it's not that I don't have a respect for any religion, but since when has like the church become like services? It's like, no, this is not how it should work, okay? And everyone is actually protecting them, because in the Western society there has been so much repression and so much idea, damage inflicted on the psyche and on the mental part, okay? All these daggers stabbing against your mind, right? All these karmic nuances that we have taken from our past, that you're never good enough, you're never gonna ever do something. When this Christianity thing, influences faded, okay, and people finally found themselves free to express themselves, the problem was people suddenly got into the other sphere of the mind, okay, the other extreme of the mind, where suddenly everyone could speak their mind. And as they spoke their mind, all this narcissism that was incastrated in this, like impregnated in the society, okay, all this narcissism and sociopathy simply gave birth to living time bombs, okay? So many philosophers claiming that, not necessarily that what they say is the only truth, but you can kind of feel that, because you also have the Bible, who throughout 1,000 years has been, promoting the only truth and, that of God. And basically Western societies we've spread everywhere, and we butchered so many people in the name of the God of love, right? And I'm not feeling ashamed, and I'm not feeling judgmental, because I can't judge my ancestors for whatever they've done, and that would be silly and stupid at the same time. Now, all this repression, all this karma that we have acquired is still perceivable today, because, well, it's like a ball and chain. It's gonna drag people down again and again. Let's not forget, the NPC, the drone level people, right? Just because they look like humans, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're technically humans, okay? And so many of these people, with their purposes of, breaking you down, pulling you down, it's like whatever you want to do, it's like you just have to bang yourself against a wall of these fuckers. Now, the point is, all this repression, okay, led to Western societies suddenly creating their own philosophies of life, and everyone getting, the slightest bit of inspiration, they suddenly felt, divinely fulfilled, right? Compared to the Eastern areas, where all these things had the time to settle in, and spirituality got its chance to sink in as well, right? And all these being said, slowly and surely, they, created this memory that, they are finally capable of doing more and more, right? Introspection, learning things, expanding. So it's kind of ended. It kind of ended up, in a brutal showdown, right? People knowing the truth, and, well, knowing that the truth also applies per individual, compared to a brutal society of, mostly narcissist and or sociopathic traits filled people, right? That know or think they know who they are, right? Fake gurus and the such. So many people believing they are the apex of knowledge, and this is called the Dunning-Kruger effect. The dumber you are, the more you think you know. And well, it's kind of an awkward aspect. Okay, this is one of the bigger daggers that is still stabbing against your mind, and one of the things people have to make peace with. Now the point about us existing in this society is that like subconsciously we're taking stuff and shit from other people, and it may actually end up as our own history, which kind of isn't good, but that's technically what karma is. When your past becomes your future, that's when your karma, well actually that's what karma is, because if you live in the past, your past becomes your future, because you're creating repetitive cycles. Now the point about curing this is, well, one of the best and single ways I know is to become introspective and always ask yourself why. Like, why do you think like that? Why do you feel like that? Why do you think so many things happen? Everything kind of happens for a reason, and even in my game, when I work towards it, I get at times so big rages when the stupid client crashes, because, well, I think I've added kind of more than one single map can handle, and every time I add something I had to add it bit by bit and save and exit, back up and then get in again and add some more, do some corrections bit by bit, because it can crash while you save, and there's a very small chance that you can lose even the whole map. Like it actually happened to me once after the let's see, oh, 222 bytes, speaking about seeing angel numbers. Okay, so yes, I actually played that little game. It's a somewhat sexual anime game, yes, I know, but I know I will revolutionize the world on the sexual level, because I'm highly interested in exploiting the let's say the underbelly of the minds in so many ways regarding sexuality, because I know my purpose here is to raise awareness, and I'm seeking to raise awareness there where it's the darkest possible. Okay, the dark corners of the mind, the dark triad, right? Criminality, criminal thoughts and the such, sexuality, sexual exploits and the such. Ooh, I'm so gonna make a renown of myself for this. Of course, I'm not interested in providing free violence in my games, but again, they will all serve their own purpose. How I will achieve that? Well, I don't think that's kind of a question that it would exist in my reality, and kind of it doesn't, because I kind of rarely had an idea or a plan on how I would achieve most of the things. I just knew I had to work, and well, when I started creating my game, and I started, even like I was plugged into it even 10 hours a day, not realizing how fast the time went, and slowly and surely expanding on things. I never expected me to create the more complex things that I've created now, like some AI that's moving around, and there are certain interactions, special aspects, some abilities and effects that I have created, the multitude of special effects that appear, so that it makes it somewhat more realistic, despite the 2.5D nature. Now the point about this is I never ever had this. Okay, now what I want to tell you about this, and the greatest dagger against your mind, okay, one of the greatest, if not the greatest disappointment, okay, that people have is expectation. Okay, this is probably the greatest poison, or one of the greater poisons that people can inflict their mind with, or afflict their mind with. The reason is, well, I will present you the case of a friend of mine, and as well, actually, let's not get into astrology and science, because I don't want to extend the things too much, but many people In a way, I know they are a reflection of myself, and this very close friend of mine, also is one. But you see, me and him have been kind of opposites, okay? Especially when it came to video games. I have always, I have developed myself as the hyperly defensive general, always full of traps, in unbreakable shields, unbreakable walls and beliefs, and I would only attack once when I knew everything was in place and I knew that that one assault would simply terminate my foe. Other than that, using the greater range, all sorts of subtleties, and avoiding a direct clash, because I was always interested in the safety of my troops and everything being as smooth as possible, instead of constantly working my brain for simply nothing. Because I was conscious even back then, but I also used that as an excuse to not become a better gamer. But at the same time, I kind of thank my older selves for doing that, because if I were a better gamer, yes, but I don't know how much more brain damage I may have caused to myself, because I know I can actually act in multitasking, and I may actually perform not necessarily close to Korean level, right, Korean professional levels, but with practice things can become better. Like, at least I can play the Lost Vikings quite well on Heroes of the Storm, even if I do prefer playing them somewhat casual, okay? So yes, and he was the bash head and think second. Not that he wouldn't think, okay, he also had his own strategies and the such, but when we played, and Poxnora was one of the games that we would play a lot, especially in the older times, when we played 2v2s, he usually was the melee, the brute, and I was kind of always the support. Healers, anti-spells, all kinds of support, the ranged, and why not some beaters and some tanks as well. But the point about him, I saw a pattern which I didn't mention it yet, but I'm still waiting for the right time when I get hinted to do so, because when you ever meet me or hear me talk, you have to understand that I'm exactly like a bomber. I have some payload to deliver, I know exactly when and where, not necessarily how, because that's my freedom, okay? One of my gifts in this world was freedom. Now, many people would say, but hey, wait, we are free from our birthright. It's a birthright, yes, indeed, I won't argue against this, but you see, some people enjoy more freedom, some people enjoy less, okay? Because usually your freedom will always revolve around your talent, or yes, some people may have more talents, okay? But I have aversion towards concepts, okay? I don't like concepts. Even speaking sounds somewhat primitive, but I kind of have to do it because, well, uplifting humanity, and that's something I'd constantly do. But at the same time, I'm good with foreign languages, and I want to expand my Japanese. I want to learn Chinese and Cantonese as well, or at least Chinese, and also I want to dive into Russian as well. But brushing my Japanese would also be a priority. So I'm also good with that. I'm an authorized translator. I'm a Reiki practitioner of Karuna. I kind of don't practice them, but at least I don't necessarily have the diploma, but I have the initiations, okay? And I have some Karuna initiation, Shambhala, and Reiki Usui. And well, I'm not a master yet in Usui, but at least I'm level 3 or 4. And I also have tendency towards this part of healer and support. I can read people well, so usually even if they speak a bit to me, I can simply invest time in reading the fluctuation of their voice. There are technically thousands of forces within me that do their work, and I simply get the results. And well, even if I doubt them, I've constantly been proven that I simply cannot be wrong. That's kind of one thing that scares a lot of people. And usually when I'm on the charge, I'm kind of an unstoppable juggernaut, which I know is pleonastic. But you see, the point about this is I have multiple paths that I simply can go through, and well, You see, I also am deeply interested in the aspect of programming and AI design as well, because I feel that the AI in video games kind of sucks. So I'm interested in trying some new concepts, but I'll see when I dive into Unity. So the point about brain stabs, as I'm calling them, is there is a lot of karmic debt within all of us. Dealing with it, well, it's gonna be different to each and everyone, okay? And as I was talking about this friend of mine, he's always been the one, very very competitive. Actually, my other friends were all competitive, while I was always the one, more like the one lying somewhat in shade, or when I knew I would win, I would stay even in the open. But like, we also played Yu-Gi-Oh, and they would have combo decks, or basic monster decks in which they would just attack you to stomp you over, while I always was the one with spell and trap card decks. And it was kind of intimidating for anyone when you see someone, they just start with a face down monster and 4 cards face down, and they would almost be pissed about that. Like, well, I even traumatized one of my friends, but okay. And well, I can say mission accomplished in that part. But people nowadays, especially when they embrace this illusion of competitivity, okay, competition means one thing: it's a low vibration of survival, okay. The question is, and that's gonna be really funny, especially if you are patient enough to see the results. The question is, why am I competitive? There is enough money for everyone. There are enough resources for everyone. The question is, why are you simply competitive? Competition is only fueled by the system, the matrix, because it desperately wants your resources to survive. That's the funny thing. Why are you competitive? You're competitive only, and you're also drawn strategically towards that by your family and school, and even some close friends. Always work your ass. Don't worry about yourself, it's not a problem. If you get sick, there are hospitals and psychiatry wards, it's not a problem. And we also can take care of your burial, because coffins aren't that expensive. So the point is, you see, why is it that you are competitive, okay? Now, funny other thing that I found while watching one of Ralph Smart's videos, right, one of the live videos, is someone actually asked, why are we called a human race? What the fuck's the race? And indeed, I thought to myself, where exactly is this race? Like, are we racing? And in order to have a race and also be sane at the same time, you need at least one other competitor, right? And it's like, whom are we actually competing against as humans? Because don't tell me we're competing against nature. We'll never win it, because nature is also part of us, and we can't deal with, like, society has made us so weak that we can barely deal with some problems, let alone the whole ones that we have been taught to simply ignore, and they still drag us down. But we want to learn the secrets of the stars, but we don't know like more than 10% about our own planet. It's like we're so taking great care of our planet. Everyone is saying, we're doing this for the planet, we're doing this for the planet, but just look around. There's simply not much of it left. If we keep like that, most likely there won't be any planet left, and we're just seeking to find other new planets. It's like, dude, really? Like, we can't take care of this beautiful planet and you just want to lay waste to others? It's like, how sick can that be? It's like society is always amusing me, because so many people have this impression that they know so many things, and I'm usually the one, if I get triggered, not in a bad way, but I'm usually the one that I just need to, like, I'm like modern technology. I don't need to argue with you, like half an hour. I just need to drop one bomb and I'm off. I'm also a War Thunder veteran, having played heavy aircrafts and bombers like for more than 5 years. It's like, I know what that is, okay? I know what that is. I'm only interested on the base. I drop my payload or kill some targets and I'm out of there. But the funny thing is many people think they can throw their shit at me, and then some of them are surprised that, hey, it's not working. Of course it's not working. You're fighting against the Borg. I'll adapt to literally everything you throw at me, and even your poison will actually make me stronger. And then I have one of the biggest questions of life. What do you do, human, when your weapons simply don't work? Right? This sick mentality of always not throwing enough guns at the problem is not gonna solve all your problems, okay? You can kill someone physically, but it's much worse when you're dealing with someone who can easily read you, and then they're stripping you slowly and surely and painfully, because why not, of your masks. And oh, okay, I can actually do that in public with all your friends or my friends turned against me. I can't care about them. They're free to choose whoever side they join, but I don't have anything to do with them. If you trigger me, you're gonna suffer. That's the point. The more you run away from me, the more you're gonna suffer. You have to understand, I'm a Heyoka. I'm simply a crystal child, and you have to understand I have a sense of royalty that may piss some people off, yes, but that's part of my true sense of awareness and being what I am. And removing these knives, these daggers stabbing against the mind, right? It's one of my birthrights. And well, I've kind of been straying with these videos. I'm gonna wrap it up now. All this being said, take care of yourselves. You are loved and appreciated. Hopefully you like this type of content that I'm creating. And well, do hit like, subscribe, and press the bell notification if you feel like. I kind of don't like saying these things, but some people say you should. I simply am stripping myself of this narcissistic aspect of gaining as many followers. It's like, I'm okay if only 10 followers or 20 or 30 follow me, but at least there are people who would implement what I say, or I can somewhat change their introspection, or have them doubt their own ideas while also asking me questions and share wisdom with me as well, because I'm not here to be the best. Who the fuck wants to be the best? That's the worst nightmare you can have. If you are the best, you simply suck, because there's no more development for you, there's no more improvement for you. You simply suck, and everyone is like surely closing in. Add some narcissistic personality, and then you're gonna start to rage that everyone is actually catching up, right? So all this being said, you are loved and appreciated. Take care of yourself. Ferencan Bor signing out.